All right, Rob, look, we briefly mentioned it, but last night, Michigan took apart Washington 34-13. Was not a just, unwatchable blowout, but certainly was not really competitive. For a time, Washington was within a touchdown. But for the most part, Michigan had its way with Washington. And Jim Harbaugh, Rob, we disagreed on whether or not he had, kind of done the job, so to speak, before the game. I felt like just getting them to being, I think what everybody would say was a top 5 program in the country now, was getting the job done because Michigan had never really been that. And you felt, though, that he had to win the game and win the championship to complete the job. So our disagreement doesn't matter. He has clearly completed the job and gotten Michigan its first national championship, Rob, since 1948, so 75 years. What are your thoughts?
This should be a nice story, Chris, with a nice bow. Finally, the Maize and Blue, they finally get their national championship. Their fan base has been wanting for so long and hopeful and euphoric, and my God.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, right?
But they can't fully embrace it or feel good about it. Michigan's national championship is tainted. There's no way around it.
Wow.
It is tainted. If you were to touch it, you would have to wash your hands.
Oh, wow.
It's stinky. I'm sorry. I know the Michigan faithful are feeling like, oh, my God, we did it. We're the greatest. Jim Harbaugh was 5 minutes away from being tarred and feathered and run out of Ann Arbor. That's how bad it was. It was horrendous what had happened. So much so they embarrassed him and made him take a pay cut. He went to
that was before this.
He went to, well, I'm just talking about his whole story. I'm talking about his whole story, that's where he was.
That makes it the good story. Yeah.
No, that's not. Because with the turnaround also coincides with certain coaches and people being involved in the university. And for Jim Harbaugh to stand up there and talk about that they were innocent and they didn't do anything, how could that be, Jim Harbaugh? Why did you get rid of 2 coaches this past year?
Right.
I wouldn't have got rid of anybody, Chris, if they were innocent. Would you?
No.
I would have stood up for those guys.
Just out of loyalty to your guys, right. If you're
those are your coaches that you hired and you paid.
Absolutely.
So why did you get rid of them during your undefeated championship season if they didn't do anything wrong? Why did you accept the suspension at the end of the year, Chris, when they had the big game against Ohio State? You were the one who stood up there and said, I want my due process. I want my day in court. And then when the conference came and showed you what they had, Chris, you hightailed it, and all of a sudden that didn't matter to you. How can you sit here, be a Michigan fan, wear the winged helmet and all that, and act like nothing hey, there's nothing to see here? Michigan football is just like the Houston Astros. They're stinky. They're cheaters. There's a reason not to feel good about this championship. And you know what, Chris? It's just a matter of time before it all comes out in the wash, because there's an investigation that is not complete, and we will find more results. This team was going nowhere fast, and all of a sudden things changed the last couple of years when this guy who was roaming the sidelines, wearing disguises, and apparently stealing signs, all of a sudden turned the fortunes of Michigan around. That's why I'm not going to embrace it. When I see the final investigation, Chris, and if they say they're totally exonerated and it's a mistake, I'll embrace it. But until then, I'm keeping my arm's distance to that championship. And if I was near it, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Wow. Where was the music?
This was one without music. It was all right.
I thought the dun, 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 dun.
I didn't feel enough passion there.
Thank you.
All right. Look, obviously they cheated. All right. But there are
So you're
degrees.
even on board with that, Chris,
Well,
right?
with that, yeah. I don't feel like you do about the championship. I almost split it into two things, like the football of it, the sport. Do I feel like Michigan is the best team in college football? Can I say with some degree of certainty that they are the best team in college football and deserve this championship? My answer to that, Rob, is yes. Now, I can't totally get mad at those that would say, but, because you never know, right? I mean, my thinking, Rob, is that early in the season when they may have been cheating, right? I don't know if the cheating was it the previous years? Was there some this year? Early in the season, if the cheating was going on during these games, I mean, these teams were not very good teams. And Michigan was routing everyone just embarrassingly. And so I don't think Rutgers or Nebraska or Bowling Green was going to beat Michigan. When the reports came out and when Harbaugh was suspended, at that point, I mean, I find it hard to believe they were still cheating. I think you'd probably even agree with that. So when the cheating we would believe, when it presumably stopped, they still beat up Penn State. Maryland, okay, they're not that good. Beat Ohio State without Harbaugh and beat Iowa in the Big Ten championship and then rolled Alabama and, of course, Washington. So I think they proved what we would presume would be post-cheating, and I'm not condoning the cheating. That's bad. He's been punished. 3-game suspension, beginning of the year, 3-game suspension, end of the year, maybe more will come. But I think just on the field, Rob, they prove that they are indeed the best team in college football. So I can respect that. But the cheating, you're right. I mean, and I don't know. It'll be ugly if it's some serious cheating scandal over the past 2 years when they did turn it around, that, that could put a damper on it. But right now, I feel like Michigan fans feel fine. I know my daughter feels great about it. I don't have a problem with them. I think they proved it on the field, so I'm okay with that. But, look, what you said certainly has merit, because whenever you cheat, you can't get mad at people for holding it against you.
100%.
If some people want to be like, hey, it wasn't that bad, I'm good, that's fine too. But if some want to be like, no, I'm sorry, you cheated, you just gotta take your medicine. You got to accept it because you did cheat. You did do something wrong. All right, 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Your turn to weigh in. Do you feel good? I mean, just as a college football fan, or certainly if you're a Michigan fan out there, how do you feel about this championship that the Wolverines just won? The first one in 75 years. Rob says it's tainted. I say the football, the sport of it is legit. What say you?
All right, let's kick it off with Michael in North Carolina. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Michael?
Good evening, gentlemen. Chris, Rob, how you guys doing?
Doing
How are you?
Chris, I agree with you. Listen, I think they won the title fair and square. They beat Ohio State. They beat Penn State on the road. They beat Alabama when nobody thought they would beat Alabama, and they clobbered Washington. I mean, Jim Harbaugh finally proved to the world he's an elite football coach.
So wait a minute, Michael. So nothing happened, none of the cheating stuff. He got rid of two. Why didn't he stand by his coaches? Why did he throw them off the boat if everything was above board?
I'm not saying they didn't do anything nefarious, but they won without him.
Are you sure? Are you sure they weren't cheating anymore? They stopped. Are you sure of that?
It's the same thing, Rob. I know. I get where you're coming from, but listen, when the Patriots were accused of Deflategate, do you remember what they did in the second half. They clobbered the Colts.
Yeah, but
in the
that
second
doesn't
half.
matter. But that doesn't mean that you didn't cheat. I get that. It doesn't mean that you didn't cheat. So that's what
I mean,
when I
maybe
say
they did
when I
something-
say that
maybe they-
something's tainted.
One
it's
thing
because
I'd
there's a
say,
question.
Rob, Harbaugh shouldn't have said we're innocent
That's
because
what
you
he
accepted
said.
a penalty.
Right.
He should have just been like, "Hey, we just want to." I don't remember what the question was, but we just happy. We had some ups and downs this year, but we ended up where we wanted to be, and we couldn't be prouder.
to say he's
something
innocent
like that.
is just
That's when you already accepted without a fight the punishment, and like you
Right.
said, they fired 2 coaches or got rid of 2 coaches. So I just think that because Rob, I think 2 things can be true. Like the Patriots with Deflategate. Yeah, they deflated those balls. But then when they got right, the balls, they still destroyed Indianapolis.
No, I get
So
that.
it doesn't mean that. So that's what I'm saying.
But it doesn't
His
mean that you
statement
didn't cheat, though.
Yeah,
Right,
that we
right.
didn't do anything is what
Right.
I feel like he just should have left that alone.
Okay, Jennifer in Michigan. I wonder where she is in Michigan. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Jennifer?
Good evening, guys. It is tainted, but I am so happy they won. Maybe Jim shouldn't have said what he said because there could be more stuff coming down the pike.
Well,
and
that's the
Right.
problem.
We'll probably be in the NFL next year.
Jennifer, are you a Michigan fan? Where are you in Michigan?
I live in Battle Creek.
Okay. So you see the point by him standing up there saying they're innocent, and then they could be throwing a book at Michigan next year. We don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I mean, come on. Don't say that. You put yourself on. You gave yourself a little punishment, but you're probably going to get the book thrown at you for what you've done. So it's on you.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Anybody else want to get in? 877-99 on Fox. You can get in. Ramon in Indianapolis. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. How are you?
How you doing? Both two of my favorite gentlemen, and I appreciate you all. And
Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
I've been a coach 20-something years, been a teacher. I'm a scientist by trade, but I have taught. And imagine the people who just called. Imagine if a person cheated on one test. They cheated on 2 tests, but then, okay, fine, they did fine on the final exam. What would you do as a professor? What would a school do when they find out that a person cheats on a
They fail.
Well,
they fail.
They fail them. That's
or
what
they
do.
they punish them.
They expel them. More than most likely, you're going to be expelled. We just lost a Harvard president because they say she didn't cite her papers right. Let's
Right,
stop
Chris.
this double
She was
standard.
cited
there
for
was
plagiarism.
there was
right?
more. Yeah, I mean that's a whole different thing. There's more to it than that.
I'm just
But-
saying. We got Martin Luther King coming up Monday, and he said the content of character, and that doesn't show character. I don't teach my young people I coach to cheat. We win, we lose with what we have and what we.
So what?
practice our ability to do.
You everything you're saying on
Spot
the
on.
character, obviously
Spot
we
on.
agree with, and it's right. But what do you think should have happened in this situation? They should have been ineligible to compete for the championship.
No, you do what they did to USC and took my man Heisman. You take that trophy now.
Well,
That's
that
what
you
do.
know
They
what?
took
I'm
his
glad
Heisman.
you brought up
They
USC
took his
because
Heisman.
that
Thanks,
whole
buddy.
Pete Carroll era and Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart doesn't feel the same. And they can say whatever they want. You know it doesn't feel the same,
Yeah,
Chris.
I mean, but I think most of us still think about that team being a great football team.
No, I get that.
I
but
mean,
I'm just saying.
it doesn't feel the same, but I don't look at. I mean, it's like I remember the great plays and the great wins and all that. But look, we're not condoning cheating. So if, like I said, his views are valid, Rob, and you're right. If he says he's coaching kids, it's not a good
Right.
example for kids. That's for sure.
Let's squeeze one more in. Nick in New York. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What up, Nick?
Hey, last caller, I would love to see the paper that he submitted that apparently got revoked because I think that would be hilarious. With Michigan, if they were cheating and they were stealing signs, wouldn't the other teams start changing their plays and their play calls?
And not if they don't know.
It's it, right?
If they don't
right.
know you're doing it.
Yeah, but I feel like you have to do that week to week.
But you don't-
can't
I
make
mean,
an excuse
no,
for
yeah, it's still
Michigan.
cheap.
Can I answer? Can I give an answer?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is why it's my favorite show. If you know other teams, like you have people in the stadium, it doesn't matter if it's some random Joe or someone's dad filming on the sideline. You should have different play calls every week.
You're blaming the victim.
Right. You
No,
know
it's
what?
not blaming. I don't
Yes,
think
you
it's-
This
are.
is not
Yes.
the equivalent. This is not the equivalent of signs in baseball. Sign stealing. This is using technology.
Yes.
That's the difference,
Chris,
right? We talked about it with
and that
baseball.
was the different, and that was the big thing with the Astros was the technology.
Right.
It wasn't just you looking and the catcher's lazy and you see you put up down a 2, Chris, and you're looking curveball. That's different. You could do that.
And I think the difference, Rob, quickly for those who might not understand why there's a difference, technology gives you an advantage.
Yep.
The human eye, if I can steal your signs and pick them up better than you, that's still equal. You're human, I'm human, we got 2 eyes, you
But
got
now
2
you got
eyes.
a camera slowing
right, with
it down.
technology now
Exactly.
I can have a way, maybe my technology is better than yours. So now I have an advantage.